Hi guys, I know I've been MIA for the last couple of weeks. My husband got really sick and then my mum came to visit, which was amazing, but in our tiny flat that meant there was no space to try and record anything. But now I'm back. I'm posting every Friday again and I have a new camera, which is incredibly exciting and means you can see me and you can see the books on the shelves behind me if you want to stalk them at all. This week I want to talk to you about non-fiction books because non-fiction's a little bit of a dirty word, I'm discovering. We tend to talk more about fiction books at Bookish Brits, and I think it's a shame that a lot of people just ignore non-fiction. They assume they're going to be dry and boring, and why would you bother reading non-fiction? It's all depressing and sort of school textbooky. Which I used to kind of feel like that, and then I started branching out and exploring and trying to work out what I did and didn't like about non-fiction, and I found some favourites. I've been talking a lot about my favourites this week. I did Top 10 Tuesday post about my top 10 non-fiction books, and I also did a post today about a medical text, which is something I never really read or do, so if you're interested in those, I've included links below. I want to talk to you about three of my favourite non-fiction books and why I love them. So I'm going to start with The Intimate Adventures of a London Call Girl by Belle de Jour. There was a TV show made on ITV about this book called Secret Diary of a Call Girl. I know a lot of people will have heard about that. This is the book that was based off. It's an incredible, frank portrayal of it's a diary basically of life as a sex worker in London. It was an eye-opening read, and it made me realise that non-fiction books, didn't have to be dry and boring. They could be really quite exciting and interesting. I'd never read anything like this before, and it's funny, it's brilliant, and it's engrossing. I tore through this one, and it really opened my eyes, not only about books in general, but specifically non-fiction books. How they could be something very different from what I was expecting and what I'd been taught to expect from school textbooks. So this was my first real big, oh wow, non-fiction can actually be quite good and interesting. I then discovered this brilliant thing, Let's Pretend This Never Happened by Jenny Lawson, aka the Bloggess. This is hysterical. I've never laughed so hard at a book before. This showed me that non-fiction can be hilariously funny. The Bloggess, Jenny, is amazing. Her blog is fantastic. And she's basically collected a lot of her blog posts and some new writing into this book, and it's a memoir of her life up until the point that it was published. It's got poignant stories and sad stories and some very funny stories and some really surreal things as well. I mean, it reads almost like fiction in places because it's just that strange, but it's brilliant. It's just something so completely different from anything else I'd ever read before. So I highly recommend giving this one a go. I recommend checking out Jenny's blog. I've included a link down below. Read a couple of the posts. If you find yourself enjoying it, then definitely order the book. The second one is going to be out in the not too distant future. And then the third book that really changed my opinion on non-fiction is this beauty, Paris in Love by Eloisa James. Eloisa James is a romance writer, and her books are incredible. I love her books. And she moved her entire family to Paris for a year. And this is basically that year. When she moved back home after the year, she collected together all of her Twitter posts and Tumblr posts and Facebook posts and added in some new stuff as well and expanded on it and wrote a very honest and frank account of living in Paris. It's beautiful. It's an exquisite look at the city and how incredible the country can be, actually. I picked this one up as I was moving to Lyon. I was incredibly homesick, I didn't really know what I was doing, and this book showed me that I didn't need to just look at the things that I was leaving behind and feel miserable and heartsick about it. I should look forward to all the extraordinary things that I was getting to experience in this country. It's a really honest and beautiful account of the tiny things that make France France. I can't really explain it any better than that, but it's a really beautiful book. It's very short sections, so you can dip in and out of it. And it just, if you're ever interested in France and living in Paris, this gives you a really great look at the city and Eloisa's life. And it's brilliant. I really love it. So these three books, they're not the only non-fiction that I love, but they are three very big examples of what persuaded me that non-fiction could actually be really interesting. So I hope that maybe any of these have piqued your interest, or any of the links below. I want to turn it over to you guys. Do you guys read non-fiction? Do you consider it to be a bit boring and frustrating? Have you ever tried it? Do you have any favourites, or are you strictly a fiction person and no, you're never going to touch those ones? I want to hear, so tweet me at Review Diaries and leave comments below, please, because I want to hear about all of your fantastic non-fiction recommendations. Have a great week, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next Friday.